eating. I should have waited. I'm eating.
Right
What's
in the
going on,
middle of a
guys?
show, you're eating.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. Usually I'm eating pretzels, so you're actually having some din din.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Narik Chase channel. I'm your boy Narik Chase, and with me again is KP. It's always great to have him here on the show. Great job, very entertaining, awesome guy. If you hadn't checked out our '90s horror films, go watch that. But also watch this too. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Conan the Barbarian film series.
Oh yeah.
And all right, now as everybody knows about Conan the Barbarian, there were two films that came out back in the day with Arnold Schwarzenegger: Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, and then the film series was rebooted in, I believe, 2011, and with Jason Momoa picking up the role, and thus our conversation begins. Now, I honestly like. What are your initial thoughts of the film series itself?
Well, I see. I remember Conan the Barbarian, but that's one of those movies that for a while I never caught the whole thing. I always caught the little pieces, parts, or here or there. And I did watch Conan the Destroyer from beginning to end. I didn't see the 2011 reboot. I have yet to see that one. But for me, I was a kid. How old was I? Young. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, for me, it was badass because I remember my grandmother owned a bookstore, and a lot of times she would just give me all these comics to read during the summer times because I spent all my summers up there. So I would read a lot of comics, and they always had the Conan the Barbarian comic book. Just read it because it was always bloody and crazy, and you never knew what you're going to run into. So I mean, I was kind of familiar with the character, and then the movie came out, which at that time I never saw the movie, so it wasn't probably until the '90s that I actually saw probably the whole movie finally in its entirety. But I like it. It's different. It's what do they call it? It's not necessarily fantasy. They call it
Is it high fantasy?
what do they? Well, they say American fantasy adventure, but there was some other term I heard earlier when I was reading on some of our other movies from our '90s reviews, and they had given it a different style. It wasn't like Dungeons and Dragons. It was like fantasy and something series. But it's a cool freaking movie though. You get lots of cool action. You get lots of cool special effects. You get who else can have Darth Vader, in a movie and be, badass? You gotta love it. You gotta love him. But it
See,
was it's cool.
I've it's one of those series I've kind of grown up on. I've always followed Arnold in a lot of his older movies. Eraser, The Running Man, Total Recall, Conan, Terminator, and I've actually, I've have a healthy respect for the series because I think it is a good series. And it is unfortunate that it is taking like 20, like 30 years to damn near make another film. Now that being said, like I said, I've always had a healthy respect for the Conan the Barbarian film series, and I know people didn't like a lot of people didn't like the reboot, the remake or reboot, but I honestly thought it was actually pretty cool. And,
Uh, it looks good. I mean, it's got a good casting. I mean,
it's
you got
cliche.
you got Rose McGowan, you got Jason
I liked her
Momoa,
character. I liked her character.
Rachel Nichols, Stephen Lang. I mean, you got a lot of Ron Perlman is in there. So, I mean, it wasn't a crappy, casting at all. So,
Wait, was
um,
Stephen Lang the bad guy?
let's see,
Yeah.
what do you
Okay, that was him.
prize?
Oh, okay, cool. No wonder he was such like. There was a lot to like about this movie that I know a lot of people just glanced over. Now, I will admit, I'm going to start with some of the negatives. It was predictable. The characters, some of the characters that should have been fleshed out more weren't. And plus, the characters fit a certain stereotype in these types of films, and they fit them, and they don't deviate, which I thought was kind of a problem. And some of the writing surrounding the character of Conan was kind of, it felt like more like plot armor. Like, okay, like I don't like those movies where somebody is like the best of the best. Like if he's a hitman or something, he has to be the best hitman out of all the hitmen in the world. Like no, he should be a high level heavy hitter, and there should be other people that equal him and or better. And then at the beginning of this movie with his character, they kind of play off like he's like the best of the best. So I didn't like that. I wanted more of a developing arc, which I thought the movie was going to do, where you showed him developing as a character over the years. But it's pretty much a time jump, which I didn't like that. But the first movie did it, so. But it's just like if you're sitting at it and if you're sitting at the film and you've been objective, because I am a fan of the other two, and you're like, okay, the film is no different than the other ones. You got a bad guy that's trying to take over the world some kind of way. Conan has to stop him, regardless of his revenge or regardless of his motivations. He's the one that's got to stop him. And I know a lot of people are like, "What a bad," but I'm like, go back and watch the other ones. They're enjoyable bad guys, but they're pretty cliche too.
Yeah, I mean, you have, looking at the 2011 Barbarian, I mean, yeah, they kind of started, the storyline is different. However, wiping out an entire village with one survivor, and that happens to be him. But when we go to Conan the Barbarian, the original,
Wasn't he like
basically his whole family and everything's killed just because they're just killed. Just, there was no potential reason other than expanding an empire.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put the kid, like, okay, he survived, we'll put him in, we'll work him as a slave, and that's where he works, and he just keeps on going, and eventually becoming, they train him to be a gladiator, and eventually he gets and ends up finding the sword, and he just kind of wanders around. He has no goal in life other than be a freeman, and gets kind of brought into the story where they kind of need to bring down the bad guy. In this case, the same creature guy who killed his family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your mindset of the movie, and him, getting revenge. And then we get to, and basically he's been kind of in his way of retirement, but he ends up getting brought back in to stop. What was it, the curse, wasn't it?
It was. What were they? I'm trying to think of what it was called. I know the second one he had to stop some.
Yeah, he had to stop.
They were trying to stop a god.
Yeah, trying to stop a god from coming back.
And the twist was they were trying to bring him back. They just didn't know it.
Yeah, it was the horn to bring it back. So a little bit different story, not much different. There's no revenge. This is purely he got brought into something and turns around. Oh crap! I have to turn this around and change it and save the day. But then you get with the Conan the Barbarian. It's still more of a movie about my village has been wiped out because the bad guy's looking for something that we happen to have.
Yeah.
And now they don't really cover much of anything beyond that from what I'm reading here, because I didn't actually see the movie, but he ends up coming back. He comes into his being however he does. They don't really cover it. They don't talk about it.
That's one thing I wish they would have, like, show him.
How did it come? Where's the? It's kind of trying to seek revenge on a bad guy, and we don't see the depth of the character. We just automatically see them coming later on, already knowing things, versus being ignorant, like he was. I don't want to say ignorant because that would mean he would actually refuse unknowingly his life and purpose. You know, and then he ends up finding out, yeah, this guy was the guy who killed my village. Okay, now I need to get revenge. And it just obviously ties in some other stuff. So, yeah, there's a little bit of leftover, I guess, to accelerate the movie or whatever the heck they were doing. And this one is kind of weird, too.
My thing with this movie is this. Like, I don't think they should have rebooted it. They should have just made this canon.
Well, they should have. They should have made, like...
Made this like something probably that happened between the first movie and the second movie, because in the first movie he's still seen as he's young.
Yeah.
And this should have been like it's like Mad Max.
If you remember, was it the end of Destroyer or the end of Conan where it says we'll return as Conan the King?
Yeah, I think that was Destroyer.
Yeah, at the end they showed him as an old character. So they could have actually made this after Destroyer and before Conan the King.
Or it could have been a prequel to the first one.
Very much. I mean, well, hell, he was really young then. But I mean, I wouldn't have done it. But I wouldn't have done it on the first one. But I would have done either between the first and second one, or the second to the third. And I would have probably preferred seeing this as in between, probably. Yeah, in between the first two, I would have probably seen it because he's a younger actor at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, I'm sorry, Momoa was kind of just kind of a pseudo unknown person at that point, not where he is now.
Or fitted, yeah, like you said, fitted in after the second movie as
go in between, because he was much older. It was like 10. How long was that movie? When was that movie?
Or they could have did it where they could have did it well, and this would have brought Arnold back as an older Arnold, or whatever. They could have used that to where Arnold was telling a story, and then it picks up
and bring him back as Conan the King, like at the ending of the other one, at the ending of the second movie. And it was a story. It goes, and that's a time for another tale or something like that. Yeah, that would have worked out great.
See, I don't like it when they decide they want to reboot something that's so open ended that they could just make it it's like James Bond. You know, really no need to. It's like James Bond. You don't really need to reboot it.
You change the person, you change the story.
Yeah,
you know that James Bond is a character. It doesn't matter who the body is. James Bond's a spy. He's a woman's man. He's sleek. He's debonair. He's got skills. He's James Bond. And you just have to fit the actor to the character.
It's kind of like remember when Mad Max had Fury Road come out?
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to figure out, was it an actual sequel or was it a reboot? And it's like, no, it's an actual reboot.
Yeah, they didn't cover a lot of his past like they did in the first movie, because I mean, remember the original Mad Max, was like a crazy campy movie from Australia. I think it was actually originally written in Australia. So
it's like you could have fit that. You could have fit Fury Road in one. You could have said it took place between the first and the second movie. It took place between the second and third movie.
Yeah, there was really no. I mean, that one was kind of crazy.
No reason to put that as a reboot.
Yeah, I liked it as a reboot.
I would prefer them to just kept expanding on the first series, because it's like you're in the wasteland. That's
but you're gonna expect Mel Gibson in the movie. You're gonna expect all that stuff, and
I wouldn't. As soon as
but see, look at the majority of the people though. You got to think about
that. You're right. A lot of people would be like, "Well, Mel Gibson."
Remember when Mad Max came out? In the early '70s, and then you had Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, which was a more modernized version, same cast, or at least Mel Gibson. Okay, so great. All right, we got that movie. But then, how long has it been since that movie came out?
That'll be the argument I'd make. I'd be like, you can't sit here and want this man to play this role when it's been like 30 years since the last movie came out.
That guy in Mad Max Fury is the kid from. So if that gives you any idea, 79 is when Mad Max came out of Australia. All right, and then we had where's Superdome? What was
Beyond Thunderdome?
Or Beyond Thunderdome? I don't know why.
The Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome, which
Beyond
79, Thunderdome are like 2
80,
movies.
81, 82, 83, 84, 85. So 1985 was the last Mad Max anybody has seen. And then now you go 20 plus years, and no kid now will ever know Mad Max. They have no idea what it is. They have no comprehension whatsoever that storyline. So what do? We make it bigger, better, reboot it, and throw some cool people in there that are common now, and boom. And it is an excellent movie. That is a phenomenal movie. Just looking at how all the practical effects of that movie alone are insane. You know, it did justice to the original Mad Max movie and Beyond Thunderdome. You know, now we have this new character. We still got Max, and we saw him slip out and get away. So where's the next Mad Max go? Do we repeat Thunderdome? Do we step it up? What do we do?
And that's going back to saying with the Conan. It's like that could have been just one of his many stories.
And it could have very well fallen that way. But I mean, they were trying to target, at least with Mad Max, they wanted the new audience. That's what that was all about. Although you and I and many other people have seen that movie, and we like Mel Gibson, but I mean Mel Gibson's like 9,000 years old now. So, you know, he wouldn't even really work well to reprise a role in there anyway, unless, you know, it wouldn't be Max, but he'd be like one of those, you know, kind of like they did in Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd and all them showing up. But it was a great reboot. Tom Hardy did an excellent job. Charlize Theron does well. You know, her character's done now. So we carry on with Tom Hardy and the next Mad Max adventure. And we do it again. But this time we're not having 20 plus years in between the movies.
Yeah, we don't need that. Just like with this Conan, we don't need that either. Like,
no, and Conan was kind of, I think it was a shot in the dark, to be honest. I mean, I think that was 2011.
They I think they're supposed to be continuing it. I wish they would. And if not, make it a television series.
They're not going to do it with Jason Momoa, and I can tell you that right now.
I don't like that. Put him back in. I liked him.
He's too big.
He's fun. He was a fun character. He actually had personality. And I heard somebody complaining about his personality, where he was kind of an asshole. But I was like, go back and watch the other one. So was Arnold. Like, what are you talking about? He was a barbarian. What do you expect?
He ain't gonna be Mr. Nice Guy. Like, you want him kinder, friendlier, gentler person?
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, now with the villains, the first two villains really didn't have. They were really cardboard villains. They had personality. Don't get me wrong. Great personality. What's the guy that played the snake guy on the first one?
Oh, James Earl Jones.
Yes. Fantastic actor. He did a great job with the character. I actually liked his personality. The chick that played in the second one, I liked her personality. I actually did like Stephen Lang as the bad guy in this movie because he had personality. And he actually had a bit of motivation. See, his wife was, you don't mind spoilers, do you?
Oh, I've already read it.
Oh, well, his wife, of course, died. So he's partially doing everything he's doing to bring her back, and at the same time building this kingdom. And I guess I don't think he doing it specifically for love, but then again, like I said, I'm only seen half the movie, and Tubi TV messes up, so it keeps freezing. So by the time you get to watching the stupid movie and everything, you don't miss like 20 minutes of it.
God dang it! What the heck?
But my favorite character so far from this whole Conan thing is two characters besides Conan. And I don't know if you want to count Red Sonja in this, because this is basically a Conan movie, but I don't know.
It was a spawn-off of the series, Red Sonja, yeah.
Okay. Well, I liked Conan. The chick from the first movie who he fell in love with, who died, I liked her.
Okay.
And I also liked Rose McGowan's character in the reboot, because she plays this witch, and she's like, it is weird because she got this weird sexual thing, like with her. You know what the Oedipus complex is?
I have heard the term.
She's got the female version of it, where she's like trying to outdo her mom's image to be able to please the father.
Yeah.
And I saw that scene. I was like, that's kind of weird. But let
What's
me ask you
going
something.
on here?
I gotta ask you this: if they were to come out with another Conan movie? What do you expect from it?
Well, we got to play with, Conan is against, basically pretty much everything. He's a self-contained man. He's got to do his thing. He's a trained killer. He's a badass. I mean, you just got to figure out what kind of story you want to throw him in. I mean, the concept really is fantasy. So most of the time he fights sword and sorcery. That's what they use the word sword and sorcery film. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Um, to me it'd be like like Hercules or sci-fi fantasy movies. Throw some bad guy, bad god, bad warlord in there, save the damsel, get the riches, and blood, fight, fury, and go.
I want to see some. I want to see the traditional Conan stuff, but I want to see some new stuff too. Like if you think about it, this is. I want to see him fight monsters and stuff.
Well,
I
you
want to
can
see him
add that.
fight. I want to see him fight like a. I don't want to say a god or anything, but I want to see him go against those types of odds.
Sure. I mean, it's in that realm. That's why that sword and sorcery is there. I mean, it gives you
Yeah.
dragons, demons, legendary creatures, wizards, warlocks, sorcerers. I mean, a lot of the times he was in the comics, he was always going against sorcerers or sorcerers in general. Let's just say that.
You know what else I would like to see? I want to see them pull a Lord of the Rings moment where they're having to fight some goblins or some gookies or I don't know what the bad guys would be called, and then he just be up in front of the people. He'd be like, "Crom!" and then they
Oh,
all
that's
just
rock.
charge. Even though that sounded kind of like Kirk from Wrath of Khan, I was like,
Crom, Crom, and then kind of back away off the planet.
That's what I want to see. Like, that's what I'm like one of the scenes that happened in the movie that I thought was great because was when Rose McGowan's when Conan goes to fight the bad guy like halfway through the movie. They actually like sit down and challenge each other. So Rose McGowan decides that wait, oh what no, what I'm sorry. That he was quote unquote planning to switch the girl and give it to the king, that bad guy, because that's what he wanted. But he ended up was like, nah, I came here to kill you. So she ends up summoning these like sand demon things. There were like these guys jumping out of the sand and stuff, and he had to fight them. Like I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's shouldn't he have to fight sand people that are literally jumping out of the sand
Well,
and
yeah, you get
they
that
were
fantasy crazy stuff. I mean, there's
yeah,
a
that's what I want to
truckload
see.
of. I mean, there's a truckload of books that they could pull material from. I mean, I'm looking at 17 right here of the original author, and then you still have. Holy crud! You still have another 10 that have never even been published, and then we have all the comic series that they've gone through. So I mean, there is a lot of material that you can pull from in the science fantasy world of Conan that you can throw out there and still have tons of stuff to go with. So
That's another reason I said instead of rebooting something like that,
just carry the
just
story.
expand
Just
on
change
it.
you might have to change Conan, but I
I,
mean,
if you get rid of the actor, I still just keep expanding on it. That way, like in this movie, they should have brought up that Conan fought the snake guy, that he killed or I'm not sure because it's not canon, so I don't know if this takes place but would take place before that or not. But then again, it's a whole different story. So that kind of messes it all up. And I'm like, no, if it's something that's not fully established like this, just an open world, and you're just telling the adventure of this character in this world, make it one shared universe and keep expanding. Have those throwbacks to the original movies. Get that because that makes the character seem pretty cool. And that's the best way about the big battles and stuff. that right there's the best way of establishing a character that he's done something in the world. In this movie, he ain't really done nothing except kick bandit butt and get booty and stuff and drink
Yeah.
and
Well,
fight
yeah.
people.
Well, there's a whole storyline here, stuff that we hadn't even seen yet. But I mean, he basically kind of, as you talk about the kind of the Lord of the Rings thing, where after his village's destruction, he goes on basically kind of a wandering of encountering monsters, wizards, winches, princesses. He becomes a thief, an outlaw, a mercenary, a pirate. He gets older. Gets his own kingdom. Um, he is stepped down and went back on his own to do other things.
And like you just said,
There's like team where he's a pirate here. I mean, he was on the high seas,
like
so kind
that
of
would
like
be
a
a good
Viking, I
storyline.
guess, would be a considerate
That would have been
person.
a good storyline. Or what you just said, where he got a kingdom, how he
Yeah.
arose to power.
Well, he killed the dude by his bare hands, according to the storyline.
Hey,
Um,
we can see
but
it. So
there's a lot of. I mean, just in these two paragraphs gives you a good story to start with, and then that's just some basic stuff, and it could carry on like they describe kind of Conan and what he looks like, and how he's covered in the books, and even then what he's gone against in types of critters and things he's fought. So again, more than enough material. And like I say, we can have the character. We just got to fit the bill with a person. Definitely somebody who's that big muscular. I mean, that's kind of the description of the character, and somebody who could do some swordplay too, because he definitely does a lot of that.
like I wanna know like more about the religion of crime. They never really go into it in the films.
No, they don't. In fact, I'm even reading here. They some of the excerpts they don't really get into it much. But I mean, you have plenty of room to grow it. And let's see, man. There's some tie into H.P. Lovecraft. Some of the creatures and things, Cthulhu mythos. So there's some tie-ins there too. So I mean, you got plenty of stuff to play with. I mean, we're talking some of the stuff as old as 1932 and as recent as 1953. So you have a lot of stuff.
I
But
I
I
don't believe
definitely,
it.
I would like to see a whole nother. I got to see the 20. Oops, I'm
I don't
being
know if that
called.
was there. I don't. Okay, I'm looking on this website and they're talking about Amazon is was talk well a while back in February saying Amazon was doing a Conan the Barbarian show. So I don't know how that's going. Okay, I will give them this. Dwayne Johnson will probably play a good Conan. Uh, Dave Batista, I can see it. Oh, I'm interested to see if he could actually play. Henry Cavill, I would definitely thumbs up it. Huh. They got some. Okay, I can see it. Oh, they can.
Yes.
Yeah, they said Dave Batista, The Rock, Henry Cavill. Them the three that I've seen on here that they put Adam Driver, but I'm like, nah,
No.
no. Kylo Ren can't do that. Come on now. But what if you could pick one of those three, who would you pick?
I would like to see Batista.
You know what? I actually think I might actually agree with you. See, because I think Batista has that. Batista looked like he could be out there in the
Barbarian.
wasteland,
He
uh,
does. He could easily
eating
take the role.
snakes and ripping off tiger heads and stuff with his bare.
Well, I mean, I can see it. I mean, I've seen him in many roles. You know, not just Drax the Destroyer, but I mean, he's played a lot in the other ones, especially like in what was that movie? Riddick, the third Riddick.
Yeah, he was in.
You know, and he was
He played
badass.
He played Mr. Wink in Inspector, which I actually liked him in that movie. I guess you could say Batista would probably be a good choice for the character.
He'd be one of my top choices. I don't want to see The Rock because The Rock's in so many other things, and I think he's kind of burning out. Although, I mean, he fits the profile, but I think Batista would be more geared towards the rough type character of doing that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Driver, hell no. No. I think out of the choices, really, Batista would be my number one. You know, physically, The Rock could do it. I mean, we saw him Scorpion King. You know, if you want to see Conan, look at Scorpion King. There you go. I mean, that's what it would be like.
Scorpion King is the Eastern version of Conan.
Yeah, but yeah,
I could say Henry Cavill because I like Henry Cavill as an actor, but you do have a point. You have a point that Batista
could pull it off, but he would be a different Conan to me. He would not. You know, look at Jason Momoa, 6'6", you know, big dude. Batista, big bodied. The Rock would be well, but he's in so much stuff right now, and I would try to see he would try to pull the Rock charm in there.
Yeah,
and I just can't.
Yeah,
no
it'd be one of those movies. It'd be one of those moments where it feels like it's The Rock and not Conan.
And I don't. And I saw a Scorpion King, and that's what his character would look like, but he just doesn't play it. So
yeah, okay,
So that's why I went with Batista. Carville could do. I mean, Carville got buffed up to play Superman.
That was a big ass.
I could see him playing a similar, you know, character. I don't know if I would. He might be a supporting character more than Conan himself. I could see him like a buddy or a teammate or, you know, an ally of some sort.
A rival or something.
Maybe even a rival. I mean, that would probably be interesting to see him as a rival, you know, all buffed up and all. Yeah, sure. You know, but Batista would probably be my number one choice to replace the Conan character. So, just personal thought, and just kind of going by the build. And I think he would actually pull it off pretty well.
I'm trying to think of somebody else, but at the moment I didn't come up with a list for it. I should have came up with like a top. I would say
I need Conan replacements.
What's that guy? He played not Bill Skarsgård, the other Skarsgård guy.
Alex?
The one that played in True Blood.
Yeah.
Because he played Tarzan.
Yes, he did.
And I liked him as a Tarzan.
Yeah, he's got the profile. He's big. He could probably pull it off.
Yeah, but, he could.
You know, when I see Conan, I'm stuck with the. I mean, if you look at the comic books, he's not that big. They describe him at least 6 foot, about 180 to 200 pounds. So, I mean, that's out of the book. You know, Arnold was kind of big, buff, and badass, but you know, there's play in that area. There's a lot of play.
They got another guy too called Joe Manganiello.
No, not ringing a bell.
He played a werewolf on True Blood because I remember seeing him.
Oh yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, so he's pretty good too, but he's going to be the new Slade Wilson.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I was like, okay,
yeah, but he would fit. Yeah, he could probably pull it off. He's a big dude too. He's 6'6", 6'7". So yeah, he could pull it off.
And I kind of liked him in Sabotage. He was a douchebag, but I kind of liked him in Sabotage.
I can't think he was in some other role here not too long ago, and he was pretty cool in it too. And I'm trying to draw a thought process.
Let's see, he wasn't. Well, I ain't watched no Magic Mike, but.
Oh, Matt B probably watched the Magic Mike.
Oh no! Well, she can watch. I don't care.
I know my other half watched both, and I never hear the end of it. Channing Tatum. Oh my God, Joe Manganiello. Oh God, shut up! I don't want to hear it. Speaking of which, I actually going to have to kind of punch out of here because that's who was blowing my phone up because they're out of town right now. So.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's cool. It's cool, man.
I hate to have to blow out of the show, but it's one of those important calls. If I don't take it, I'll get shot, and that's not good for the show because it's kind of hard to duplicate me.
I don't want to do that, man. But it's okay, man. It's okay. We have talked about Conan the Barbarian, the film series, what we like to see, what we didn't like, what we liked. We got a little into the conversation. It was really good, and I really liked it. I was after I saw that half the movie, I was like, okay, I want to talk about it.
I'll definitely check it out now because I've been wanting to I was kind of curious about it, but now I'm actually probably going to jump in that bandwagon and watch that one too, probably this weekend. So sweet.
Well, we'll just go ahead and cut it short right here, guys. Thanks for joining us once again for another edition of the Break of the Baits episodes that we have here. We greatly appreciate your viewership as well as any comments that you leave down there in the comment section below. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on the Narik Chase channel. And I thank KP once again for joining me for another great episode. And we'll see you guys later. Peace out.